Proactive.
Yeah, for sure.
Smiling faces.
I'm going to
All right.
stay standing, I think.
Call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I will read the district mission statement, part of our call to order. In partnership with the communities, the mission of Diller-Lindenfeld School District is to educate individuals in an environment of trust and respect so they become self-directed, responsible, lifelong learners. We've got everyone over here. Mr. Hunstead's here as well. And then we've got guests, John and Scott
And Jason McCoy.
and Jason McCoy. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
All right. Agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
No, it's been updated for you guys before. So.
All right. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda? Brittany?
I think Nicole.
Nope, it was
Nicole's
Nicole.
over here.
Nicole.
Okay. Nicole. And second is Troy. All right. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. On to number 5, public comments and rebel recognition. I don't think we have any public comments.
Rebel recognition, we got art. We have some students that received superior, couple superiors, and so Peyton Smith received superior and best in category for ceramics. Lexi Goines received 2 superior awards for painting and sculpture. Molly Thorndenson, I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing people wrong. So Molly received a superior for painting. Madison Camacho received 2 excellent awards for painting. Kat Christensen received excellent for computer-based art. Alexis Eilertson received 2 excellent awards for craft and sculpture. So congratulations to those kids. Then I also have awesome cleaning. Michaela Backlund said, I heard we have a new custodian. I came in this morning after being gone I came back this morning after being gone, and a sub was in my room. My room was the cleanest it has ever been all year. I just wanted to share. So kudos to Chase and his team for cleaning.
And a shout out to all the teachers, but mostly to the students who have endured the MCA testing and done their best and showed up, and the parents were taking care of the kiddos to make sure that they were on time and fed and well rested.
Yeah. And state speech just happened.
Yes.
Congratulations to all those that made the state speech. And I can't remember those that placed, but
Yeah, and I did not get it sent to me yet.
we'll
So
update that at the next board meeting. But I'm sure Rylan, I know
I
he
believe he placed
made it
8th.
and extended speaking, so really well done. Excellent for that. Any other rebel recognition?
And the 5th grade kiddos, there was 3 of them who played in an honors band over the weekend on Saturday. I only remember one student off the top of my head because I know her mom really well, so I'm not going to shout out to her specifically, but great job to all of those kiddos who were able to do that regional thing.
Very good, very good. Any other rebel recognition? We'll go on to number 6, reports. Start with 6.1, special education. And that's Mr. I'll reply to Mr. McCoy.
Good evening, everyone. Just thought I'm trying to decide it, and Shannon said after about an hour, I was trying to decide what I want to present on, and it's been about a year since we were actually here talking about the transition to the cooperative and what that could look like, so I'm just going to focus on all the areas that we talked about at that point in time during our conversation. But maybe just a little bit of background. I got a couple new faces on the board, but Lake Agassiz Education Cooperative is comprised of several area school districts. So we have Barnesville, Mount EGF, Holly, Lake Park, Ottoman, Uland, Hitterdale, and Norman County East. And our main role is to provide special ed services and supports to our member districts. Looks different in a variety of different places, but we can do it variety of ways, but special ed services exist for students with disabilities or delays from birth until age 22. And services and supports are offered to those students to help mitigate those disabilities or delays to the greatest extent possible. So on the sheet that you guys have, I just wanted to draw that in numbers for you. So DGF students with IEPs enrolled in DGF, we have 261 as of today when I looked in our system. And DGF students with IEPs enrolled in Lake Agawesse's programs, we have 34. So Lake Agassiz has programs for students in preschool, programs for students with significant social emotional needs, and then programs for students with significant cognitive delays. So first area we talked about a year ago was licensed staff members that would be helping support students in DGF. Some of these positions already existed in DGF prior to July 1st when DGF joined Lake Agassiz, but a bunch were added. So I don't need to read through all of them, but if you have any questions about the abbreviations, feel free to let me know. We're kind of an abbreviation heavy world. Recruitment and retention of SPED staff. It's one area that's we've had a focus in recent years. Special ed teachers are hard to find, and when we find good ones, we want to try to retain them as long as feasibly possible. So we have a mentorship program for new SPED teachers. Currently, we have one DGF employee partaking in our mentorship program. Next year, we anticipate 2. We've assisted DGF with the hiring of a speech language pathologist for the 25-26 school year. That'll actually be a Lake Agassiz employee. We'll contract directly to DGF. That was an unfilled position for this school year, so we went and were able to fill it for next school year. Have had plenty of conversations with Shannon in recent months about continuing to contract with Lake Agassiz for a variety of different staff members, modifying schedules, making adjustments, but something that we're going to continue into next year and expand upon. And then Lake Agassiz also offers a tuition reimbursement program for individuals seeking initial special education licensure. So we allocate $40,000 a year of Lake Agassiz general fund to help people cover some of those tuition costs to become special ed teachers. It's certainly been beneficial for a variety of people. School-wide supports, we've developed scheduled documentation to assist in determining staffing needs. That's the continuous conversation, making sure we have enough people to support our kids. We've worked with building level principals to talk about workload projection conversations, like how many teachers do we need next year. That's pretty stabilized. We're still working on paraprofessionals because schedules impact that. Assisted determination of ESY services, so part of special ed is what's known as extended school year. Was that on this board meeting or is that the last ESY? Last, you guys had it last, yeah. So help determine that. Provided training on common assessment interventions. Train special ed staff members on guiding and documentation related to special education. We work in a world that's very due process heavy. We need to do things in very certain and specific ways. So a lot of our professional development this year has related to that. And then we've assisted DGF with the completion of ADSIS application going into next school year. So helping district access another funding source to make sure we're providing additional supports to kids to not only support students with disabilities, keep kids out of special education by providing enough support so disabilities don't develop, and just make sure everyone has access to equal education. Lake Agassiz programs, touched upon that a little bit earlier. We have our preschool programming, so we're programming for students with social emotional behavioral needs, and then our programming for students with significant cognitive delays. And we anticipate at the beginning of next year that all programs will have at least one DGF student participating in those programs. So that's exciting to see. Professional development for our SPED staff this year really has had a strong focus on process compliance, so how to write IEPs, how to do progress reports, which are part of the IEP process. And now all IEPs and progress reports are current in the district and being implemented with integrity. We're currently working on our summer program, building into next school year. Be sending out a survey to licensed staff across the cooperative, looking for their feedback about kind of what they're looking for, and tie that into what we're thinking. So that'll be happening in the next couple weeks. From a special ed compliance standpoint, we participated in Department of Education's self-monitoring process for programming, and that allowed us to provide some extensive training to licensed staff members on that due process pieces, like I talked about earlier, the IEP, the progress report, financially, worked with Marcus quite a bit to help streamline the reporting that takes place to the Department of Education, maximize funding and maximize funding to the greatest extent possible. Develop a system and data reporting that's helped with medical assistance reimbursement. I think we're at about probably tenfold of where we were last year, probably seeing 120-ish thousand, isn't that what we said? Over 100. Yep, right now, yep. So by the year end, we're probably around 120. And then
120 in addition to last year, or just 120 where we were seeing like 10
in
last
addition,
year?
100. Yep. So certainly has a big impact on programming for kids. And then we've assisted and completed several applications, documentation, verification, all the fun stuff we have to sign off, send it in, previously it feels like. Yeah, that's it. Those are all the areas we talked about a year ago. Oh, yeah. Any questions?
At the top, when you said the DGF students with IEPs enrolled in Lake Agassiz, does that mean they access your buildings, like, or
Not all
what is?
34 would access those buildings, because some of them are preschool kids or birth and child kindergarten. So some of those would be in the home, some of them would potentially be in preschool here, some of them might be in Head Start, some of them might be in other places. So those kids are enrolled in Lake Agagiz's preschool program.
I don't know, I'm misunderstanding or I'm confused about how we have kids enrolled here and we have kids enrolled there. Like, what's the difference? I thought we were just like one
Yeah, so
cooperative.
all of our districts are a district independent.
Yes.
And then Lake Agassiz is a district itself too. So Brooke is your Mars coordinator here. So she claims kids on Mars that are enrolled K-12 here. We claim kids on Mars and Lake Agassiz that are enrolled in Lake Agagiz's program. So that's what I meant by that. And then it's Lake Agagiz's staff members providing the direct service to those kids.
Okay, so they will go to school here, but your
Some of them,
employees
Yeah, I would say the majority
serve.
do not. The majority of them are in home, Head Start, those types of settings, but there may be.
Your employees provide the service, that's what that means?
Yeah.
Okay,
And
thank
we
you.
have some kids we share too, that some half a day at Lake Agassiz Education Center, half a day here.
Sure.
And those would be included in the DGF students with IEPs enrolled at DGF.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it would be safe to say that most of them are preschool in the home is where the
Like
bulk of
home
them.
runs or
Yeah, more than 34, yeah.
birth
Most
to
of
3 or
them.
something, yeah, okay.
Sorry.
No, just.
No, I'm just confused, that helps,
Does that help?
thank you,
Yeah.
yes.
Any other questions for Scott?
So if we need 120 grand this year, medical assistance, is that something that's sustainable, that we'll keep getting that type of money every year, and is there
That's
more
what-
gain that we're missing out on?
So there is a lot of uncertainty, I guess, in our world of right now with federal reimbursement, because medical assistance comes from Medicaid, so that's where that money is coming from. With the assumption that that funding continues at the threshold it is, then yeah, I would assume that would continue.
That was part of the conversation last year when we were talking about going to join the Lake Agassiz Cooperative, is that we felt that there was a large amount that was just not correct, because it would just, the documentation wasn't there in order to obtain the reimbursement, so.
I think it's certainly something we're going to have to pay them to use. Thankfully, staff members helped us out and got it done, because it's a lot of paperwork.
Any other questions for Scott? Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Scott.
thank you, Scott.
Scott?
All right, we'll go on to PCN. What does PCN stand for?
Positive community norms.
Positive community norms, and Mr. McCoy. Thank you.
Thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time. Hopefully I can give you some joy out of this, but I talk about the good things. So we have 2 new members, so just for you that might not know me, I'm Jason McCoy. I work for Clay County Public Health, and I right now am managing what's known as the Positive Community Norms Grant in partnership with DGF Schools here. That is a 5-year grant. We are wrapping up year 4. We are in the process of writing new grants to hopefully keep the work going. There may, with the hope of being some overlapping so that we won't have any interruption in services. In a nutshell, what we do, because I was trying to think, how do I make this 5 minutes, right? And anybody that knows me knows that 5 minutes and Jason McCoy don't go together very well. So I'll give you two little metaphors that might work. Every single school day, of 100% of the kids that walk through our doors, about 70% of them already think substances aren't me. Now, that might be because of their parents, that might be because of their friends, that might just because substances aren't something they see in their life, right? About 10% of those kids have already made a poor choice. That might be lifestyles, that might be something their parents have allowed them to have, that might be mental health. That leaves us 20% of those kids that walk through the door wondering, is it true that everybody uses? Is it true that most aren't? Like I see these signs all over the place, right? We're responsible for that big vinyl wrap in the gym and all the signs you see around town. That's where our battlefield is, right? That gap. We need to convince them of the truth. And I'll show you that as we go through this really, really quickly. But the truth is that most of our students don't use. The big part of this front page, you can see in our 24 surveys, that was year 3. We're still waiting for this year's Minnesota Student Surveys to come back. 92% of our kids weren't drinking alcohol. Now, those numbers in small print underneath there, I wanted you to be able to see. 2019 MSS, that was our year 1, which was technically 2021 for us, right? Well, that's the data we had. We went from 83% to 92% in 3 years. Marijuana went from 89% to 95% of not using, by the way. We're not talking about, we didn't go backwards. And 76% were not vaping. So that meant 24% of our kids were vaping as of 2019. That was above, all of these numbers were above state average. We are now so far below state average. We're one of the best schools in the state for substance use. So I just wanted us to be able to celebrate that for half a second. As we realize there's still work, because those kids who are still making poor choices need help, right? So we still keep moving forward. So what we do, we have 2 different bodies within our grant. Rebels United is both our campaign name, it's also our coalition. Any of you that would like to participate, we would love to have you. I can send you information if you're interested. We also have a youth group in the middle school and in the high school called RISE, which stands for Responsible Individuals Striving for Excellence. Hopefully you saw our banners like literally on the side of this wall. And between the 2 groups, we are up to over 50 kids right now. So that's pretty amazing. Most of those are in the high school, so we're trying to bump up middle school recruitment. We spend a lot of money along the way. This grant is $180,000 a year. So if you do math real quick, we're about $900,000 in 5 years that we'll have spent in the Eugene area. So the other metaphor that I wanted to give you, why these messages? Why do we spend so much money on putting a shirt for every kid and every teacher? Why do we have a vinyl wrap up there? Why do we have a mural down this other hallway? Why? It's because dosage matters. And what does those 2 words mean? That means that the more times the brain sees something, the more likely you are to believe it. And here's my favorite metaphor for this one. If I was to print 100 posters with my face on it that said Jason McCoy was the nicest guy in Clinton, and I put them on every single door, you would all smile like you're supposed to. And you might even laugh. You might be like, I'm nicer than Jason. I know somebody nicer than Jason. A week later, you're gonna be like, maybe. A month later, if someone asks you, who's the nicest guy in Clinton? Guess whose name is on your front of your brain? That is literally what we're doing. It absolutely has been proven through science to transform minds. So what we do every time a kid walks through one of those doors and sees 93% of our students don't pay, they think 1 of 2 things. They either think, that's me, I'm that guy, I'm that gal, I'm already there. Or they think, that's not me. But they see something happy, and they start looking around, and they no longer think everybody's doing it. And that's important, because if they're in the bathroom, because we know this happens, and someone's vaping, they ask if you want to hit. Now they can say, that ain't me. That's not what I'm doing. And that's a really cool thing. Now, we still have 7% of our kids that we're trying to get. And that's where those 2 new grants are coming. Hopefully I'll be able to come back and tell you about those soon, but we should know within a week or so. Now, there's still one important thing. So if you flip, the next 3 pages are basically a breakdown of alcohol, marijuana, and vaping. And why these are important, because it's a whole bunch of numbers, and you guys need to see enough numbers, so let me make this really, really easy. In the top, that student norm and perception of the norm is what we're most interested in. When you look at the percentage of students that drink less than monthly, and you see that 92.9%, okay, so that's where we got our data. That next line, though, is even more important, okay, which is hard to believe, but percentage of students that accurately perceive the norm, look in the high school. That means that only 38% of our students last year perceived that most of their peers weren't doing it. Now, they're already making good choices, and that's great. But why is this so important? Because when we talk cannabis and vaping, if you accurately perceive the norm, you are 9 times more likely to not use. With alcohol, it's 11 times more likely. That's why these numbers are so important. That's why we keep putting these posters up. I gotta tell you, I've been doing substance prevention for 10 years, and it feels too easy. It feels way too easy. But really, it's that consistent, steady messaging that really makes this work. And so you can look through we do adult surveys too, so you can see kind of like back then, the average community of that's grandma and grandpa that might be like maybe answering the phone, 27%. That tells us that most of our community members thought our kids were all drinking on the weekend. Parents and guardians, though, most of them got it right. School staff got it right. I'm happy to say, I wasn't able to update these in time for tonight. I'm happy to say that those numbers got better in our surveys we just did this last fall. So our parents are doing better, are even better to me that our teachers are actually sharing the message with the kids. And that's the key saturation point you've been aiming for. So we're aiming into year 5. We're just continuing to make this like, not just a victory lap, but to keep going and just keep building on this. Some cool things that are coming. We got a little extra money on the side that we were able to, we're going to be replacing all of the hurdles for the track team. The reason why I said why we're trying to do victory lap. And also we're buying a new high jump as well. We'll have some messaging on it, but it'll be brand new stuff for our school to be able to use and all. And we'll keep on going. So, much to do right now. One other quick really thing, if you didn't happen to hear, because I think every news agency in the county picked it up, Clay County did pass an ordinance that banned the sale of all vaping products. So anywhere that we actually, I said we, the county, I'm the tobacco compliance guy as well, so it's me, that sells any kind of tobacco, including Glendon, Felton, Dilworth has their own ordinance, will be covered by this. So pair that with Moorhead having passed a ban on all flavored products, tobacco products, meaning their vapes are gone. Dilworth passed an ordinance that got rid of flavored vaping products. That means pretty much everywhere except for Barnesville at this one time the county will not have vaping products for sale. So we perceive that will also.
Flavored vaping products, correct?
Yes, they could have unflavored. There ain't many people buying it.
No.
And there ain't no kids buying unflavored at all. So data shows about 99% on that. So that's another cool thing. So thank you very much.
On a side note, if you want to see Jason get raked over the coals, watch the commissioners meeting where he had to discuss it with them and just completely justify our opinion and our position on protecting our kids, and he did a really phenomenal job.
Yeah, I also want to thank, so Jason invited me to be a part of that commissioner testifying, and it was great to see the number of people there testifying, that you gathered that group of people, and so the commissioners heard it loud and clear. And so, thank you for all that work on it, appreciate it.
Absolutely. We're tackling cannabis next.
Yeah, well, I talked about that day, so that was
Yes.
appreciated.
No, thanks for all the great work here, so it's wonderful. It's good to get good news.
Absolutely. I love it. It's like my job.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
All right, we'll go on to 6.3, board committee reports. We'll start with the facilities and transportation.
Let's see if I have my notes. Who else is there?
Yeah, Troy was not there. It's a while ago, so I'm trying to remember too, so I'm sorry, Brittany. Facilities transportation, we talked the fact that we have to start negotiations with them now this spring and early summer with their transportation contractors. We talked about our outdoor facility, our outdoor classroom, and we have a farmer now that is gonna help us with that. So they'll work it up here now this spring. We're just trying to figure out how we can get there with this equipment. So we have a couple plans, and he's just worried he's gonna rut it up as he drives across, and he can't fit on this side, so we're still working through that, and then we're gonna get a contract for him too, so he knows when he does the work, when he's gonna harvest, we know what he's gonna do with the soybeans, and so we're working on that. I know we talked about the, let's see what else. What's that? Summer work, oh, yeah.
Oh, we talked about solar panel schedule.
Oh, yes, yeah.
There we go.
Yep, and we just had a meeting today, Chase and I did today with the state of Minnesota, the state of Commerce, or Department of Commerce with the state of Minnesota, because we did just receive our first check that we will pass on to Ideal Energies. They are going to be doing it. They started work last week on the internal tying it in and what that's gonna look like. The panels show up the second week of May, and we already have a schedule of when the crane, it's not gonna affect school, and how they can be here to get the equipment, or I'm sorry, the panels on the roof, and then they're gonna start to do install. So, yeah.
And then we did just touch on the baseball and softball fields, because there had been some conversation about like what we're doing to assist them versus what a clubs are raising money for type of thing.
Yep, because we did have a baseball meeting, and then we're gonna do, they had a stag and some dollars to improve the facility, that's right. And so Chase has a meeting with them again, I wanna say later this week actually, to discuss more of what that timeline is. It's nice because now Chase is in the mix with them all the time of any changes or improvements or things they're gonna do. So then he's gonna come to me and report if there's something that we need to, that I need to bring to you guys. Right now, there isn't anything, but yeah, so, yeah.
Any questions for facility transportation? All right, we'll go on to DLT committee report.
Yep, Brittany presented on the elementary. And so we had now heard from Joe, Kent, and then it was Brittany, and she just kind of touched on all of the programming, number of students, I mean, just kind of the full,
quarterly programming and celebrations that we've had, and some of the positive experiences that the kids have in the field trips and fundraising and just curriculum development was covered.
Any questions for DLT group? All right, move on.
I should say, at the end of that, I did discuss that the board was gonna discuss operating referendum and capital project levy, because there's parents in that group, there's students in that group, just saying it's a discussion, no decisions are being made yet, but I wanted them to have the heads up that it's something we're gonna consider, whether we do or don't, that'll be in the, because we do have another DLT meeting in May, so we can give, and that's a wrap up of the school year, congratulate, we have a bunch of seniors in that group, members of the DLT, so we're gonna wish them the best.
so then how does that work again? I don't remember, like, how is it selected for new that are coming in to be a part of the group?
Yep, I just asked the staff over here to give me a list of names, so as these seniors go, we have a lot of underclassmen in this group too. So we have ninth graders here, we have 10th graders here, we have juniors, the seniors will go, and we'll ask for some new freshmen for next year.
Ask the teachers.
And the principals. So I say, hey, can you give me a list of names? And then I just send it to the kids. Hey, I got your name from the admin and some staff. Would you be interested? And some say yes, some say no. I always like to have at least 2 boys and 2 girls. That's what our goal was. And this last year worked out great. We had a lot of kids here. So, yeah. Yep. So that's the process, and that'll be next fall. Yep.
Any other questions for DLT? All right, we'll go into negotiations. We've pretty much wrapped up the language portion. We have just got one part. I think it's all decided on some leave time and how we're handling that, personal leave days. And we started talking about dollars and cents, and really we're kind kind of not talking about the same baseline, and so we really worked hard to try to get, so we're at least starting from the same standpoint, and everyone understands our goals. And it's been great. I think the, very respectful negotiations, and we will meet again, not this Wednesday, but the following Wednesday, May 7th. And we'll hear more from the certified group on what they're thinking. So more to come, but right now that's kind of where we're at. Any questions?
I just was gonna add that, I mean, David gave all of us credit for doing that, but David put together a very comprehensive PowerPoint using some of the data that Shannon has shared with other meetings, just to really break it down so that we could make sure we were on the same page. And I think we left our last meeting a little disconnected and where the missing pieces were. And David worked through the weekend to make sure that we were all on the same page. And I think we left this last meeting really in a good spot to understand what we have and what we can provide, and gave some power to the certified staff to be able to kind of look at what's important to them and work off the same spreadsheet. So I appreciate you giving all of us credit for that, but we really appreciate all of David's hard work to make sure that we were all working in the same direction, and I think that made huge progress, and I think the teachers, based on the emails we received after, felt the same, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I think just we're all working on the same problem. I mean, the issue really is how do we, we're in a tough budget situation, so how do we make sure we give fair raises during such times as these? So, I mean, that's any questions on negotiations? All right, we'll go on to the superintendent's report, which is pleasantly short.
I just did, I gave you a weekly update, and I knew there was gonna be a lot of other chatter tonight, so I thought, I looked at Brooke and she goes, just have questions. I said, okay, we'll just do questions. So, I know we've had a meeting before this, we had a lot of discussion, and we have a lot to do there still. No question about it. The policy tonight. My weekly updates, I try to give you enough information so you kind of know where we're at. So, if, I just thought, well, let's keep it simple maybe tonight. But if there's questions, please ask.
Questions? Awesome, we've all heard enough.
Perfect, you got enough of me.
I think the one thing I don't think I should have mentioned at the top is the elementary school excellence
Yes.
that is taking place on Friday.
This Friday,
Yes,
thank you.
So anybody listening,
Yes.
please feel free to join us, because it's a big celebration.
Good point, thank you.
And you're speaking, aren't you?
I am.
Yes, thanks to Nicole for stepping up to the plate and doing
Well,
it.
don't thank me till we've finished. But I'm not so humble to say that I asked Ms. Junk for feedback on my speech first, so that I made sure it aligned with where we were going.
Oh, that's great.
So thank you for your help.
Yes.
Thank you, Nicole.
All right, we'll move on to 7.1. This is a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes from April 14th. Do I have a motion? Motion by Brittany. Do I have a second? Second by Laura. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Consent agenda, number 8.1. Approve the bills for April 2025 in the amount of
$269,802.83.
the treasurer's monthly budget reports in your packet. We'll approve that. Resignations, approve the resignation of Robbie Strand business effective the end of the 2024-2025 school year. Approve the resignation of Nicole Sutton, food service, effective April 17th, 2025. And approve the resignation of Davis Cozen, Fayette, effective the end of the 2024-2025 school year. Do I have a motion? Motion by Nicole. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any questions or discussion?
We've posted the FIAD position, correct?
Correct.
Are we posting for business?
Not as of today. They are still working. Michael Wisco, Mr. O'Keefe, and Katie were visiting again. They visited on Friday quite a bit. Mr. O'Keefe told me Friday afternoon that right now we might, just based on what the students were taking and enrolled in next spring or next fall, he thinks that we might not. I said, my message to him was, if we need it, it's already in the budget. If we don't need it, because you have something figured out in the plan, I said, I just don't want to sell our people short if we need it. So he said,
Is
okay.
there another teacher who would be potentially teaching some business type of
Yep,
classes?
oh yeah,
or
we have Suzanne Iverson, that's teaching it right now, and before her, we just had one, and so he's working some stuff out with another staff member too, to maybe take on with our ag, so they can do some business ag, and so he's working, anyway, they're still working on it, but as of today, no. So, great question.
And just say thank you to all those that serve
Yeah.
in the district.
All the
Davey Close has been here for
For
quite
many,
some time.
for many years, so thank you to Davey
Yeah.
for his role in the wrestling program too, as it's had a lot of recent success. Going to state last year, had a bunch of kids go again, so thank him for his time, no
Yeah.
question, yeah.
And Robbie for his, in the basketball program as well,
Oh,
Quite
yeah,
well.
it's been here for,
and golf, I think.
Yep, he is this year, yep.
any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. On to 9.1. This is to approve the non-certified contract for Evie Red, paraprofessional class 2, step 10, effective the start of the 2025-2026 school year. Do I have a motion? Motion by Brittany, do I have a second? Second by Troy. Any questions or discussion?
This is one of those interventionist positions, as a retired teacher that's taking this role on it, based on our access grant, so. yep.
Perfect.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. On to 9.2, this is to approve the first reading of following policies: 413 harassment and violence, 425 staff development and mentoring, 512 school-sponsored student publication and activities, 516 student medication, 603 curriculum development, 604 instructional curriculum, 605 alternative education services, 606 textbooks and instructional materials, 606.5 library materials, 607 organization of grade levels, 608 instructional services, special education, 609 religion, 610 field trips, 611 homeschooling, and 704 development and maintenance of an inventory of fixed assets and a fixed assets accounting system. This is for the first reading. Do I have a motion? Motion by Nicole. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Angela. Sorry. Any questions or discussions?
We do have our policy meeting following the board meeting tonight to discuss all of these.
And just a note to the public, all of our policies are online, so if you're ever interested in any of the policies, just go to the website. All right, any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 9.3, this is to approve the list of certified staff members who have now attained continuing contract status. That's in your packet.
Yep, this, very good.
So these are continuing contracts for first time 3-year consecutive years in a Minnesota Public School District. And continuing contract status for first years for those that have had 3 consecutive years in a Minnesota School Public District charter or others that have spent their first year in.
Yep, so they were tenured somewhere else, and now they're here and completed this year, so now they'll be tenured. And it does include now, because we do accept North Dakota, and in the past that wasn't the case, but now it is, and so some of them are affected.
Right, very good. Do I have a motion? Motion by Nicole, do I have a second? Second by Brittany. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. On to 9.4, this is to approve the non-certified contract for Jessica Tollickson, food service, class step one, effective April 20th, 2025. Do I have a motion? Motion by Troy. Do I have a second? Laura. Second by Laura. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. On to 9.5. This is to approve the administrative contract for Brittany John, elementary principal, effective the start of the 2025-2026 school year. Do I have a motion? Motion by Angela. Do I have a second? Second. I think that Micah beat you to it, so we'll go with Micah. Any questions or discussion?
How many applicants did we have for it?
Total 9? 6? Yeah, we interviewed 4.
Internal or all external?
All external except Brittany. Yep. Yep.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. On to 10.1, the next board meeting is Monday, May 12th, 2025 at 5 p.m. at the Glendon Media Center. And it's the Glendon site. And then following that, will be the budget committee meeting, Glendon Media Center, so we'll be at a different location. All right, and then on 11, this is to adjourn the regular meeting. Do I have a motion? Motion by Troy, do I have a second?
Second.
Angela? Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.